Welcome to the third episode of our new podcast, Moment to Pause. Enjoy a moment where you've got nothing to prove. Today, I'm joined by my co-host Karolina, and now we switched places, so you can get to know her a little better. Karolina is an alignment coach and data strategist who helps ambitious women break free from the weight of their past, their parents' expectations, and the relentless pressure to perform. Her work is all about helping women design lives that feel deeply aligned, radically fulfilling, and uniquely their own. With a background as a senior analytics manager leading strategies for Fortune 500 healthcare companies, she brings a rare blend of data-driven clarity and deep emotional insight into her coaching. But her journey into this work didn't start from success. It started from struggle. A season in her career tested everything she believed about confidence, courage, and self-worth. It's that experience that shaped who she is today and why she's on a mission to help others stop proving their worth and start living in alignment with what truly matters. And today, we'll talk more about this experience. Welcome, Karolina. I can't wait to dive deep into your story.
Thank you so much, Jana. I'm super excited to be here and share my story with our audience.
Let's start right away. Can you share more about how you got from a corporate data strategist to a coaching and why you started this journey?
Let me start from the beginning. I had no idea that I would become a coach. I was in the corporate world, and we know in the corporate world, your main objective is to climb up that ladder. That was my initiative. That's what I wanted to do. What ended up happening is while I was great at gathering patterns, I didn't take that same insight into my own personal life. I wasn't great at finding my own patterns, my own habits. There was a disconnect there.
When we were talking about this before, that your journey into coaching began because you once needed a coach yourself. Can you share what was happening in your life at that time?
Honestly, I would have to say that it was one of the lowest points in my career. I kept doing the hustle. I got to the burnout phase. I didn't truly know where I was headed. I just followed the traditional path. And I didn't ask myself questions, the reflective questions, the moments wherever you're supposed to take a pause and ask, is this really for me? Should I be on this path, or am I just following somebody else's crafted path? In that moment, I realized that I needed to ask myself better questions. And not only that, I needed to listen to those answers. And I think that's the critical part. Sometimes we're on the hamster wheel, doing everything that we need to be doing, but we don't take that moment to pause, to realize, is this even the path that I want to follow? Or is this a path that my parents wanted me to follow? Or is this truly where I want to go? Sometimes a coach is there to challenge and nudge you, ask you the right questions to guide you on the path that you already had an inkling that you need to go on. If I just had somebody to guide me and show me there is another way, it would be super helpful on my journey.
What were the questions that you didn't ask yourself?
The question that struck me the most is, what do I really want? What is the path that I'm really striving for? Is this aligned with my values? And during that time, I didn't really think about values that much. I thought it was something fluffy that you read in a book and it's like, live your values. I was like, no, live to work. For me, taking that moment helped me realize, hey, am I really on the right path? And what is critical for me in my life right now?
This is such a great reminder also for our listeners. And you hear the name of our podcast, Moment to Pause. It might be also a moment to ask these questions that Karolina just shared. This is a beautiful connection between what we are doing right now here and how we actually got here. Would you share a little bit more what was happening in your life at that time?
We're getting a new leader, and I was super excited. Now we're going to get more direction. We'll be able to get into more high-impact projects. I sat down, had my water, and then I see him come over, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Can't wait to shake his hand. He sits down. Of course, he does not shake my hand, but I was like, that's okay. Maybe he's nervous himself. He sat down, and these are the words that came out of his mouth. You will not last more than 6 months. Your colleague will probably last 8 to 12 months. And then at that moment, he got up and left. And I just sat there, stunned. I, I don't know if I never processed it or it was more shock or it was hurt, but in that moment, I felt worthless. I was just so excited for this new leader to come, and I had such high expectations. And how could someone just come to the table and share that with you? Somebody that doesn't even know you, that just met you, could say such a horrible thing. And it's been years since this moment happened. I can still clearly see everything and see myself sit there.
I'm so surprised to hear this and to even hear that this actually happened, that someone just so bluntly tells you something so inappropriate without even knowing you. I'm so sorry that you had to go through this, and I totally understand why this shook you, because this is absolutely inappropriate behavior. Could you share a little bit more what went on internally?
During that time, I didn't take the opportunity to process or name the emotion. Now, if I reflect back, I knew that there was some hurt, some pain, some anger, but also deep down, I already had a low self-worth. Am I worthy? Is this really true? Because I had lack of confidence during that time, I wasn't sure if he's confirming this fear. My ego took over and it said, I will prove you wrong.
Yes, I can totally understand that. And why do you think that so many ambitious women get caught in that same loop of proving themselves?
During that time, I specifically focused on the external validation. Since I didn't have that internal confidence, I didn't depend on myself. I depended on other people telling me that I was enough. I needed somebody to tell me, you're doing a great job. I needed somebody to say, you're worth it. I needed somebody to validate what I didn't believe was true about myself and those self-doubts that came up. Sometimes we get stuck in that cycle that we need others to tell us that you are enough, you are worth it, when ultimately at the end of the day, we could only make that decision for ourselves.
Yes, you're totally right, because no one else can prove our inner worth. Unless we feel it internally, there's no external validation bringing it. And where do you think that is the line where ego takes over? Or where did this realization happen in your story?
Ego took over because I wasn't confident enough to sit in that reflection or name that emotion. For me, it felt easier to be in the avoidance, and it felt easier to let ego take over because it prevented me from feeling those emotions. It went into overdrive. And what I realized is this led to more issues down the line, because on the outside, I have to prove him wrong. But on the inside, it's, are you sure this is worth it? You heard those voices saying, hey, maybe this isn't the best thing for you. And you feel the tension in your body because all of this is interconnected. And then I had the negative chatter that kept coming up saying, maybe he's right. Maybe he saw something that you never acknowledged. And that actually brought me down into a worse, deeper level.
At what point did you realize that endurance and strength aren't the same thing, and how did that shift your view of success?
It was leading me to more self-abandonment. That internal conflict started to become more apparent. I used avoidant tendencies to overshadow what was really happening. And it started to get to the point wherever I couldn't do it anymore. My energy levels were decreasing. I didn't have any time for hobbies. I loved reading. As you can see, I have a lot of books on my bookcases. There was still that tension. You still have to prove it. This is your mission. You have to do this. You can't overcome this, versus internal dialogue saying, hey, there has to be a better way. You can't live like this. It's not sustainable.
Yeah, it truly isn't. And I'm happy that you found your way out of these patterns. When we were talking before this recording, I know that you mentioned that the question you asked yourself was, why did their opinion matter more than your own? I believe this is a very powerful reflection question. How did you begin to rebuild that self-trust from the inside out?
I couldn't avoid it anymore. Why do I need to prove myself to somebody that doesn't even see my value? Once I sat with that and I asked myself, why do I even care about what he thinks? He doesn't even know me. He never even gave me an opportunity. But even if he did, why do I even care about what this one person thinks about me? The avoider started to mute itself, And then the other part of me started coming out and asking these reflective questions. Why do you even care what he has to say? Why do you not care about how you feel about yourself? Why do you have to prove to him? Why is that even important? Why can't you prove to you that you can overcome this? I think I got over the fact that quitting does not equate failure. Quitting is actually courage. Quitting is actually standing up for yourself. You don't have to stick around in situations that don't work for you. You have to look out for yourself. I couldn't avoid that any longer because that voice got stronger, helping me realize that the real me needs to come out and make the right decisions for myself.
Yeah, this is very powerful. Thank you for sharing. And why do you think that situations like this happen to so many people?
I think because we don't take that moment. We keep moving on to the next thing. Since I made a commitment at that table saying, hey, I'm going to prove you wrong, I didn't want to take that back because I thought that came from a place of strength. It didn't. That came from a place of weakness because I knew deep down that this wasn't the right path for me to follow. I think a lot of us go on this path because we think we should. Maybe we listen to our parents and they're like, you have to climb up the corporate ladder. Or maybe we see our friends climbing up that ladder and we're like, this is the path we have to go on. And we don't take that moment to ask yourself the question, do I even want to be on this path? Yes, maybe for others, it's great. Perfect. Let them, that's their path. But this wasn't necessarily my path.
What gave you the courage to walk away, and what did it look like to finally honor your truth?
It took a lot of positive self-talk. I started to recognize that my voice is more powerful, that confidence gets built from within, not from other people. And I started doing internal reflections and realizing that I have the power. Quitting is more an act of courage, not an act of failure. It helped reframe that negative self-talk because it was fueled in a toxic negative environment. And by quitting, it showed me that there's something better out there. I'm in a much better place today than I was back then. Would I go back and say that I would want to be in that situation? Probably not, but you don't always get a choice in what situations you're in or what the environment is around you, but you have the opportunity to leave that. By me saying I quit gave me so much more courage, so much more confidence that if I could do this, I can do anything.
I love this message. Where did this transformation happen?
You have the opportunity to shift from external validation, which was most of my life, to internal, and how much more powerful that is. I wanted to share that with the world. I wanted to say, it's okay what you overcame. It's okay that you stayed at that job. What did you learn at the end of the day? Take those moments to pause to realize, what do you really need? Yes, we will make mistakes. Yes, I'm not perfect, but now I built in little moments to pause. Is this the right path? I'm not going to put myself in situations that no longer align with who I am and what my values are. I thought values were fluff. They're not. They help you see what is the most important to you. One of my core values is adventure. I make sure I incorporate that as much as I can because that's where I get my additional energy, my motivation, my inspiration, my creativity. Regardless of what your values are, just as long as you know them and you take that opportunity to pause and reflect on them, your life just completely changes 360.
Yeah. That's a great reminder. I can totally relate to why so many people at the beginning might feel that values are fluff, but once you align your life with your values, it suddenly feels like things start to fall into place. Of course, there are like some situations we have control over, some we have less control over. But again, this is a great reminder that there's a huge range of things that we do have in our control and we can really make them work. Now that you help women realign their lives and careers, how do you weave that personal experience into your coaching approach?
Sometimes we have to go through difficult situations to realize that throughout life, a lot of us will go through our own seasons. And sometimes some of them could be very differently from others. How I will bring my story to the table is with empathy and sympathy. Even if you stay in a bad situation, I will never judge you for it. Why? Because I've been there. I understand what you were going through. There's a lot of things that maybe we wish didn't happen to us, but unfortunately they did. just as long as I take that experience and actually use it to help others, that's the most important element. I'll come from a place of understanding versus judgment, and I could help align no matter what situation you're going through. I understand maybe during that time you didn't have the courage. You transform and evolve as the seasons go by and take those as lessons. I know in the future, if there's a bad situation with a leader, I will not stay. That is already a non-negotiable. It's not the ego talking, that's my internal perspective.
Yeah, you create these boundaries that are non-negotiables, and they actually help you create the life that we want and can enjoy. For the listeners who are still stuck in that prove myself mode, what's one pause or reflection?
You don't need to prove yourself to anybody. You have all the power, you have all the tools to do what you need to do. You have to listen to yourself.
Perfect. You're launching this podcast to share your message with the world. What do you hope listeners will take away?
Take your moment to pause, because you don't know what questions, insights will come from inside. Take that moment, even if there's so many things going on. The 1 minute, the 30 seconds, you will get the insights that you need to make the next most impactful move.
Right, and this brings us beautifully to what we're trying to do here. Remind people, create that moment to pause. It can only bring new insights and new feeling of presence and calm. But yeah, it's not easy. We know it's not easy to pause, but we can only start one moment at a time. Thank you, Karolina. This was such a rich conversation. Thank you for sharing not just what you do, but most importantly, why you do it. Before we wrap up, is there one final thought or message you'd like to leave?
Pause to ask yourself a question. Anything that you're going through right now, is this what you want to do?
Beautiful. I love that. What a powerful reminder that strength is about pausing long enough to realign. And for anyone listening who's ready to stop living for others and start living for themselves, you can connect with Karolina on LinkedIn. We'll link everything in the show notes. For everyone listening, maybe take a moment today to pause and ask yourself, am I living in alignment with what truly matters to me? Because sometimes that single question can be the first step toward real change. Until next time, take a moment to pause and start choosing yourself.